It's your girl, Professor Cinephile, and I'm back. Of course, I'm back. Because why? Because Tyler Perry has a new film out. Oh, friends. Okay. This won't even take very long. Usually I spend more time with Tyler Perry, but this time, no. Okay. So the new film is called Ruth and Boaz. And actually, you know what? Here's the thing that I've always wanted for Tyler is that he gets other people to write the films and stuff for him. And so this one is, it's different because it's written by Michael Elliott and Corey Tynan. I've always said, hey, get somebody else to write. He's producing it, he's putting it out under his brand. I get it. That draws people in, but let other people have a shot, right? The director is Alana Brown. We're just gonna let it be what it is. His hands are slightly on it, but being who he is, he's all over it, right? Okay, so Ruth and Boaz, if you don't know, if you're not a religious person, it's based on the Bible story, okay, the same characters, okay? Quick summary of it. Ruth is married and her husband dies, and her mother-in-law, basically takes her in. She leaves and leaves her hometown, goes and moves in, goes to take care of her mother, who is Naomi. She takes care of mother-in-law, but mother, whatever. She goes to take care of her. She gets a job working basically for Boaz, and she's like a really good worker. She's making money to take care of her and Naomi. Boaz is like, "Yeah, you cool. I like your work style. I like the way you take care of this lady. I'm gonna wife you up. I gotta take care of some business first, but I think that this needs to happen." Boom. That's basically what happens. The reason why anybody cares about this story is because they are the great grandparents of David. I believe. Somebody fact check me. And David, connects to Jesus. And that's why they become important. But also, it's supposed to be a love story. And I've always found it kind of creepy. I find all love stories in the Bible really creepy, often because there's a significant age gap. And I think that they've always kind of worked in this kind of old, dusty man gets to have his pick of a younger woman because that's what they want society to do, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into this film. Spoiler alert, I am going to be talking about things that happen in this film. So if you don't want to have it ruined, although as I often say, it is very difficult to ruin a Tyler Perry film, pause now, come back later. Okay, so what is this story about? Okay, this is actually your typical Lifetime holiday kind of film. Um, Budding talent, unrecognized, unsigned talent, gets into trouble where she lives in the big city, ends up leaving the big city to go find herself or whatever, gets discovered by the local country guy, and he's all into her, and somehow she finds her voice and is able to become the star she was always destined to with the support of this guy who loves her. Yes, that is the story. And we have heard that story a million times. In fact, the actress who plays Ruth, her name is Serayah. She has done this several times. And I feel like I feel not, I don't feel bad for her because she's working, she's using her talent, she's getting, them credits, she's getting that money, she's getting that exposure. So I'm not even mad at that. But she has definitely pigeonholed herself. And if you feel like you have seen her before, it is because you have, okay? You probably saw her in the show Empire, okay, where she was playing Tiana. Um, and then you probably saw her in what was that film? Oh, that show, Kingdom Business. If you watch again, if you watch Tyler Perry, and you probably watch these other series and shows and things like that. Kingdom Business, Greenleaf, all of these, what I call them, the churchy chitlin shows, right? They're soap operas for the chitlin circuit and Christian folks. They are. Th- You want me to say something else? Like Kingdom Business. Now I'll be watching. Listen. Greenleaf was everything. I'll be watching Kingdom Business. It is slightly less than everything, but I still watch that show. Beauty and Black. I watch all these shows, all these little shows with their black soap operas with their drama. I'm gonna watch them. But anyway, so you're talking about, so when I think about Soraya, she was also yeah, she was in Kingdom Business and she played Rebel, right? Rebel is the same character, right? This rough around the edges girl who, sings, they want her to sing gospel music. She wants to sing other kind of music. Then she was in that film with Neo called The Sound of Christmas. She was playing a character Montana who could sing. Like so many of the characters that she's playing are really these like young women who can really sing and want to find their path and find their pathway to stardom. And it usually takes a man falling in love with them to help them, right? Now, you know, from a feminist perspective, I do get tired of that storyline. I get tired of the storyline where a young woman only finds her voice when a man chooses to love her, right? And even though they'll try to depict it like she's making it through conflict, she's showing her strength or whatever, it always comes down to a woman can only really find her true voice when a man decides that she is worthy of it, right? And so that, I mean, we know that that is basically like the Tyler Perry schema. That's what he does. But it's not just him. It's a whole cadre of writers and directors that fall into this. And this film is very heavy on the Jesus stuff. And you would, I mean, obviously you expect it. It's called Ruth and Boaz, and it is based on that story. So in this story, there is a Naomi. Naomi is played by Felicia Rashad. Ruth does go to live with Naomi, and Naomi was the mother of Ruth's boyfriend or fiance. I'm not really sure, but there was a connection there. Naomi does lose her husband and her son, in the same way that Naomi in the Bible loses her family. Like, so Ruth does go and goes to Tennessee and to take care of her. And it just so happens that she happens upon a job where she's picking grapes. So in the Bible story, Ruth harvests grain, but in this story, she harvests grapes for a winery, right? Boaz, his name is actually Bo, and his last name is like Azar or something like that. I don't remember, but they call him Boaz or Bo for short. He owns the winery, and so he is her boss, right? Again, these power dynamics, I don't like them. That whole boss employee thing doesn't work for me. I find it to be exploitative, but also a lot of you find love at work, and I just think that that's weird. Um, I work from primarily for myself now, but when I did have to work in offices and those kinds of settings, absolutely no way in hell I was thinking about anybody I was working with romantically, but somehow a lot of you think that that's okay. You know what? I would say no judgment, but I actually am judging you. So that's also part of that. But anyway, there's a power dynamic at play, boss and staff, right? So, whatever, they are attracted to each other. They do go out on a date. She's having her own issues. I'm never gonna have my happy ending. Oh my God. Why? Because she's also being chased by a dude that, she owes money and it's a lot, it's a white dude, of course, who was trying to make a lot of money, trying to sign a deal with Jermaine Dupri, who does have a cameo in this film. And so when she backs out, she decides she doesn't want to do it anymore. The dude is like, I'm going to collect. And we find out that he's responsible for Naomi's husband and son being killed because he's trying to get at Ruth. And then later on, when the winery is set on fire, he's also responsible for that because he's trying to get at Ruth. He's doing a lot to get this. He's like literally killing people and destroying property just to get her to sign a contract with Jermaine Dupri, which is just stupid. But where would any of these soap operas be without stuff like that? So you gotta kind of lower your expectations and stop looking for, an Image Award winning film or an Oscar winning film. You're looking for Tyler Perry often makes these Black Lifetime movies, and there's nothing wrong with it, but Lifetime is right there. And it's not a bad story to work with, but again, because it has been done so often, I want to see new spins on it. And I think they were trying to be edgy here, but they weren't. Um, they did my good sis Felicia Rashad dirty with them braids they had in her hair. This is Felicia Rashad. This is like iconic queen of the screen, and y'all got her in there looking like a ragamuffin. But overall, I would say that the hair and makeup and stuff was a lot better than it usually is and something affiliated with Tyler Perry. Um, the script had less improvisation because it wasn't written by Tyler Perry. It's actually written by screenwriters. So the actors actually had something to work with, and you don't have those moments where people are trying to figure out what to say next because there's no script and they have to fill in the gaps. So that's actually a really, that's one of my favorite parts of the film. I was like, wow, this was actually written all the way through. Um, I like Tyler Lepley. He plays Boaz. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but if you watch P-Valley, or The Haves and the Have-Nots, he's in that. He's also in the show Harlem. So you've seen him before. And he's had like smaller roles in some of those things, but I think he's pretty awesome. So, and I like that he kind of stays in his lane. This is his lane. You know, like he's not trying to be more than what he is. And I appreciate that, like all those risks that Will Smith took, for example, that he didn't need to take, Um, Tyler stays in his lane. And you know what? He's from Philly. Shout out to Philly, so I like that. But I do think that I'm sorry, there's a fly here. Anyway, I do think that this is better than the typical Tyler Perry film. Again, he's like a producer, he's associated with it, but this is actually written and directed by people who have more talent than he does. I just think that for me, it's the same storyline. And I'm just unfortunately like it stood out to me once I saw Serayah on there. I was like, oh my God, she's doing another singer film. This is like or like another show or whatever. She's got at least two shows and two films right now where she's playing the same kind of, you know, down and out singer who wants to make it big and is having issues and needs a man to help guide her. And I'm just like, sis, all right, you've become pigeonholed. And is that if that's what you want to do, then keep doing it. Lifetime makes the same film 100 times a year. It's okay. But it's an easy watch, but it wasn't that. I'm gonna give it 2 hearts. I'm gonna give it 2.5. I'm gonna be generous in the spirit of extending people grace. I'm in my graceful period. I'm gonna give it 2.5 hearts. I can't recommend this to you. I can't. If it's on in the background and you're working or you're reading a book or something, okay. Um, but don't go out of your way, you know. Don't go out of your way. All right, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And it's okay if you didn't like my review. It's okay if you loved it. One thing I fundamentally understand is that there is an entire segment of the population that absolutely loves these kinds of films. And that's okay. I'm not hating on it. I think you should enjoy whatever you want to enjoy. I just think that as somebody who thinks about these things, it'd be nice if they could write more empowering roles for women. It would be nice if they didn't gobsmack you with Black women experiencing trauma. A lot of people will complain about trauma porn and talk about slavery films, but that's not it. Like Black women, and especially like Black mothers in film, are on the receiving end of some of the worst violence in film, just unnecessarily, right? Like you look at something like American Fiction, where they just changed this to this woman just dying. Like, what? Why? Why? They just add gratuitous violence and unnecessary violence and pain. And so I struggle with that. But some of you actually love that. And it's part of why you love Tyler Perry films. You like to actually see Black women struggle. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel better about yourself. You like to see, and if you are a Black woman, you like to see other Black women struggle because it makes you feel better about your own circumstance. And I think that that's what Tyler Perry and those folks like him provide. They provide an escape so that you can feel better about your own life. But we have to start thinking about what these images, what these depictions project out into society. Um, and I'm just not a fan, but it's okay. I watched it. I was doing some work yesterday and I watched it. I said, hey, why not? That's what I do. All right. So, anyway, subscribe, check me out, check out my other reviews, and I'll talk to y'all next time. I'm interested in what you think. Leave it in the comments.